Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 38 of the Sports Blitz as we continue to socially distance. And as always, I'm Robbie, joined virtually, as always, by Doug. Doug, how are you?
Doing well, Robbie. Doing well. I'm staying 6 feet away from the screen right now. I'm social distancing
Back up.
while I'm social distancing.
Yep,
Making
going
sure
back
that I
up.
am
Don't
not.
want to come too close
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
this.
It's too close, Robbie. You're too close without a mask. So thank you very much. But I am doing well. Thank you.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, we're not wearing masks, but it's okay because we are able to socially distance on computers.
That's correct.
Obviously, with the lack of sports sort of going on right now to talk about, which is pretty evidenced, uh, what would you like to do sometimes anyway, especially in a time like this, is sort of take a step away from our sort of normal content and sort of do a special episode where we like to kind of personalize things a little bit. And tonight, that's going to be one of those episodes. Tonight, we are going to be discussing some of our memorable sporting events that we've actually been to. It could be sort of from any level, any sport, just sort of games that really stand out that we've had the pleasure of being in the stands and back when there were actually fans allowed to be in the stands for sports. And so to kick things off, but it's not going to be a sport that involves kickoffs, funny, surprisingly, we are going to go to a sport that, Doug, I know you enjoy very much, and I enjoy very much, and that is hockey. So let me throw it to you first, Doug, and sort of water polo. Again, folks, if you didn't watch the last episode or listen to the last episode, Doug and I have the Zoom chat within the chat going on here, and so if you just see us burst into random fits of laughter, it's probably because somebody typed something funny on the chat.
We will also tell you what it is too.
I just typed cricket. So it's like.
We will tell you what it is too. So we're talking about hockey, right, Robbie?
Yeah, so just any games, when you think back through the life of Doug, any sort of games that are memorable to you that you've had the pleasure of being in attendance for.
Sounds great. The life of Doug, 5 minutes. That's it. Anyway, wanted to just mention about hockey on the, kind of all-encompassing when you go to a Bruins game or a basketball game or even a Red Sox game or even a Patriots game. Everybody's rooting for just like one team. There are maybe a few people that are rooting for other teams, but it's typically, especially when you go to the Garden, when you go to a basketball game, a hockey game, the fans are unbelievable. When you go to a college game, typically there's one side that's one team, and the other side is rooting for the other team, and they kind of go back and forth, and it's a different feeling. When you go to a hockey game, it's so totally different. It's loud. It's everybody's rooting for the same team. You're high-fiving people you have no idea who they are.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. I mean, you go with your family, but you're like high-fiving the guys that back you in the front and all that kind of stuff when they score goals.
Yeah.
And you're talking with everybody. Everybody's like has the same feeling of, we want to win and all this kind of stuff. So it's a totally different feeling to go to the Garden and of course these other places too. But I think one of my fondest memories about hockey is that and Robbie, you know this also, I've talked about this before, but my mother-in-law was a very, very big, huge Bruins fan.
Right.
Huge. Like if she cut herself, she bled black and gold. She had season tickets from 1955 to 75.
Yeah.
She was in the building when Bobby Orr scored the goal.
Wow.
And so if she wasn't, but she was a hockey fan, so she would watch the Bruins, and if the Bruins weren't on, she would watch a college game. BC, or she would watch the Bean Pot. She would watch. I even caught her one day. I walked in, I sat down, and I was like, Marilyn, what are you watching? She said, I'm watching hockey. I said, Marilyn, you know this is high school, right? And she's like, I don't care. It's hockey. I could care less.
Again,
It was
nothing against high school
no, no,
hockey.
no, 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 no. No, no, nothing against that. It had to do with the fact that she
Yeah.
loved hockey and she
No, I
didn't
know.
care what it was. It could have been, Czechoslovakia and the Czech Republic. She doesn't care. As long as it's hockey on.
Aren't those the same place, technically?
Probably, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Of course they are, but sometimes they play interleague games, so inter squad games. So I think what I'm saying
Canada
is
versus
that,
Canada.
right, Canada versus Canada, right? So I think that the fondest memory I have is actually going to the alumni games, the Bruins alumni games.
Yeah.
And we probably took her to probably about a dozen games, and it was awesome. These were the guys: Terry O'Reilly, Rick Middleton, Jerry Lemlin. I can't remember his first name right now. Anyway, these were her heroes that she was actually able to see and actually go up and talk to. Because these games, these alumni games, they would play like 2 quarters. They wouldn't play real hard. They didn't really play to win, but it was all watching them. And it was all for, a lot of it was for charity. So something, charity wise was something that was really, very cool. So during these alumni games, she was able to go and see her heroes, talk to them. And as we went to 5 or 6 of them, after the 4th or 5th one, maybe around the 4th one, these guys were recognizing her. They were like, oh, you were at the last game. And she was like, oh, God, my heroes. She was up in the nosebleeds. She was part of the original gallery cars that were up there at the nosebleed seats.
Right.
And it was a group that went all the time. They went to every game. They didn't miss a game. They watched on TV, but typically they didn't. And she watched her heroes, but she was able to go to these games and actually talk to them. And I'll tell you, her face lit up. She was able to take pictures with them. It was amazing for her. But that's what I remembered. And again, it's not necessarily. And I have a couple other hockey things too, but that's the first thing that comes to my mind. How about you, Robbie?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I've been, definitely been to a lot of hockey games at all levels in my life. It's tough to sort of remember. I feel like it's more like for me, like thinking of like categories of games that kind of stand out for me, like the Bean Pie. I've been to a few Bean Pie games over the years, and that is, yeah, if you're a Boston area hockey fan, you should really go to the Bean Pie at least once in your life. I mean, just the excitement of the fans, just if nothing else. I mean, listening to the battles of the student sections is something else. I mean, they really get into it. Obviously, I've been a lifelong fan of BC hockey, just because of. Yes, I did bring actually, no, I did not bring a pot of beans. I probably should have done. Maybe next year. But yeah. So for me, what was I gonna say? For me, also like I've been to some NCAA tournament games. For BC. Also, I went to an NCAA tournament game at Babson College. Babson hosted a D3 NCAA tournament game.
You gotta go because I gotta see my coach buddy.
I didn't. I was thinking about mentioning the fact that Doug actually has a connection to the Babson hockey program from way back in childhood.
I do.
But shout out Jamie Rice.
Yes, absolutely, definitely.
You should use that connection to get him on the show.
We should. We absolutely should.
Hey, remember me from Rivers Camp like 25 years ago?
Well, first we'll go to a game and then we'll talk to him, and then we'll see if he comes on. We'll have him on. I don't care.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah,
I would definitely do that.
Yeah, but those college games are special too.
Oh
I love
yeah,
those.
oh yeah, and they're also like there's very more like the fans are kind of like right on top of you, like for all levels of those games. It really is. It really is a lot of fun, and I'm like for Bruins games. I think the games. I mean, I've been to a bunch of Bruins games. I'm trying to think of. Okay, no, you know what? I've got one Bruins game that stands out among the rest. And it wasn't even a game that the Bruins won, but you're going to know what I'm talking about here in just a second. 2013, I had tickets to Bruins versus Sabres on the Wednesday after Marathon Monday. Now, I got these tickets well before that year's Marathon Monday. And of course, if you know anything about Boston history over the last decade, you'll know obviously 2013 was a tragic year in the marathon when obviously there were the explosions at the finish line. So that game ended up being the first Boston sporting event post marathon bombing. And I went with my dad, and just the emotion in that building that night, something that I'll never ever forget. I mean, there was a video tribute that had everybody just sort of, if you weren't tearing up at one point or another that night, in the stands or on the ice, something was wrong with you.
Right.
And the thing that I remember the most, though, was the entire crowd singing the national anthem together. Rene Rancourt, Garden legend, who retired a couple of years ago, actually, sort of took, it basically started singing for like maybe a second or two, and then basically just held the microphone up and just had the entire crowd just singing.
He noticed the crowd
Yeah,
was starting to sing.
just singing the national anthem together. It was just such a powerful and special moment, and it truly is something that I will never forget when I think back on games that I've been to. Even though the Bruins lost that night, it didn't matter. It was about the fact that here we were as a city coming together, sort of getting back to normal, starting to get back to normal with what else? A professional sporting event. And it was something else. So the next sport that we're going to discuss is a sport that, like I was saying, that is sort of near and dear to my heart, and that is baseball. Yes, horse racing. That is baseball, and obviously, again, Fenway Park. I mean, is just sort of the cathedral of of baseball and of sporting events just in general, as far as I'm concerned. Doug's got all his Red Sox championship gear on from '04. And so again, sort of, we were talking about 2013 with the Bruins. I think there are two games that really stand out for me. I mean, I've been to a lot of games, Red Sox games especially, throughout my life. I was at 1999 when the Red Sox beat Roger Clemens 13-1. I was at the 100 years of Fenway Park game in 2012. I was I've been to so many playoff games, but the two that stand out for me, thank you, I am a bragger, proud of it. The two that stand out for me are 2013 Game 2 of the ALCS, where the Red Sox were down 5-1, and then David Ortiz comes up, bottom of the eighth inning, and hits a grand slam into the bullpen with the if you watch the replay, the cop, raising his hands and stuff like that.
Gone, baby, gone.
It was amazing to be able to be there and see that and sort of see the game that kind of turned that series around, because up until then the Red Sox had really struggled against the Tigers. To be able to be there and just sort of it was just an amazing experience. I mean, I've never heard Fenway Park be that loud like it was when Ortiz hit that grand slam. It was incredible. And then the other one was the 2018 World Series. I got to go to my first ever World Series game, game one, Red Sox Dodgers. And it was just a thrilling game. Eduardo Nunez hit the, of course, 3-run homer that sort of put the game away in the late innings. And I mean, that was, again, talking about crossing off a bucket list item. I mean, and then I went to the parade too. Actually, my first ever Boston Sports Championship parade was that 2018 World Series parade. And I actually, again, not to be a bragger, but I'm going to be anyway. If you look at the end of the 2018 official MLB World Series DVD, they show footage from yes, I know I am. They show footage from the parade, and I am in one of the shots, which was pretty cool. So I think those two really stand out for me. Plus, yes, DVD star, more like it. So yeah, I think those are the two that really stand out for me in terms of just. Again, I've been to a lot of baseball games over the years, many different levels. But I mean, whenever you go to a game like that Ortiz game, I mean, again, not to be a bragger, but I went to both Ortiz's final regular season and final playoff games too. So I mean, it's like, there's a lot to choose from, but at the same time, those two just totally stand out for me. So, Doug, let me toss over to you. When you think of baseball, what games sort of stand out in your memory for that?
I actually have a couple too. First one is actually going to, and I don't really remember this too much because I was kind of a youngster, but going to some of the late 70s games at Fenway Park. We actually have some really blurry Polaroids of some of the players from a long time ago. But we had box seats. They were pretty much really close to the Red Sox dugout. And I just remember kind of going there and just not really knowing what's going on. Because I mean, I loved being there, and I brought my glove, and you think you're going to get a foul ball, and there were no nets up at that point. So you're always looking up to see if somebody hit a foul ball. You're like, oh, is it coming to me? And it typically went over your head or whatever because we were really close. So that's my first kind of memory of going to baseball games because we went with the family. I think my mother actually went to, and she doesn't like sports at all, really. So I think she went just because it was a family thing to go. So it was nice. It was nice to have that kind of thing. The second is a little bit more special. It was the 7th game of the World Series in Mets Stadium.
Yes,
Shea
you told
Stadium.
me about this. Yes,
Shea Stadium.
Yeah.
7th game of the World Series, 1986. Red Sox versus Mets. Let's put it this way: 55,000 Mets fans and 4 Red Sox fans, which is us. My roommate from college had his father was in construction, upstate New York, and he was on a construction project and could not go. And he had 4 tickets. And of course, I was his roommate, so I got one, and we brought 2 other guys. We went on a limo, which is really cool.
Fancy.
Went in a limo. It was awesome. And I'll tell you, we tailgated with some of the Mets fans. They were awesome. It was just awesome being there, although not in a home stadium. Yes, very fancy. But it was a great experience because you're sitting there, you're watching the game, you're a Red Sox fan, you have 55,000 Mets fans, but everybody around us was just really cool. And even after the game, because obviously we did not win that game, the Red Sox didn't win. They were so cool. We actually partied after with them too. and they were just really cool about the whole thing. They were like, yeah, we won, but you lost, but it's all good. We're all part of the same, we love baseball kind of situation. So it was really kind of neat, just being there,
Nice.
and going to another stadium,
Yeah.
seeing what that's like. It was very different than, obviously, because we were not in the home stadium, but it was so very different
Yeah,
just being there.
it is really different. You're absolutely right. It is really different, like seeing other teams' ballparks. Like even if the Red Sox aren't playing, then
Right.
like just going to like I've my dad, and I kind of went around, when I was in my teenage years to a lot of the other major league cities and major league parks and stuff like that, and it really it's as a baseball fan, it's really cool to be able to just sort of see, like you said, see the other stadiums and see, all these places. You see, yes, I am. No, not that cool. Oh, but to be able to sort of see the stadiums that you see on TV and see the players that you see on TV, like up close and personal, wouldn't otherwise get to see. Um, was really cool. But yeah, I mean, I can only imagine. I know that was a losing effort, but I can only imagine what it was like to be a Game 7 of a World Series. I mean, that's any baseball fan's bucket list right there, whether it's your team or not. I mean, that's
Absolutely. And
just
you know what, Robbie? I'll tell you, you can go to regular season games if you want to. Not everybody gets to go
oh yeah,
and see a World Series game. It
oh
just
yeah.
doesn't happen for anybody. People can go through their whole lives. Baseball fans, Red Sox fans. It turns out that
Hence why my
particular
first one was not until I was 28 years old in
that particular
2018.
year, that particular year was that particular year. Very interestingly enough, a family friend had 3 tickets, or couldn't use his tickets. I think there were 2 of them, and gave them to my father. And my father took my brother Josh, who was a huge Red Sox fan, to Game 4, and I believe Game 4 was at Fenway. I think it was 4.
Yeah, it must have been.
Yeah,
Well,
Game 4. Yep,
three,
absolutely.
three, four, or
Doing the
five. One of
math,
those. One of those
and
three.
knowing it. Yeah, one of those. It was Game 4. And it was the same year.
Yeah.
It was 86.
Now,
So
did the Red Sox win that game?
yes,
Ah,
they did win that game. But the issue is what's really cool is that 3 out of 3 people in my family actually went to the same World Series, which never happens. It just doesn't happen that way.
nice.
So it was just really cool. It's a different feeling. I'll tell you,
Yeah.
I've been to regular season games. You go to a World Series game, it doesn't matter where it is.
Oh,
There is a totally different,
night
even the
and day.
playoffs.
Night and
Playoffs are
day.
totally different.
Night and
A
day.
World Series, totally different.
Oh yeah.
It's just being in that stadium. It's louder. It's the feeling is just totally different. Like everybody's on their edge of their seat.
Absolutely.
It's just a totally different feeling
Absolutely.
being there. And even
Absolutely.
being in a different stadium, it was
Yeah.
totally different.
No, absolutely. No question about it. And like you said, just night and day between a regular season game and any playoff game, but especially a World Series game. So the next sport that I wanted to talk about, sort of moving on, is the sport of basketball. And again, Doug and I had the opportunity. Hey, sporty, yes, sure. Um, so Doug and I had the opportunity. A game that was not memorable was the college basketball game that Doug and I went to between BC and Louisville, which we
You
really
have
don't
to
need to
bring this one
discuss
up, don't you?
anymore.
This is horrible.
I know it was brutal. You got to see Rick.
Hey,
I think
was that the last game that Rick Pitino had in Louisville?
yeah, we got to see Rick Pitino. That was about the only Navy bright spot. I think there were more Louisville fans at BC's arena than there were BC fans.
We actually started turning. We were rooting for Louisville quietly, really, really quietly. Go Louisville!
But in terms of more positive, memorable basketball games, Doug, what are some? What basketball games sort of stand out for you when you think back?
I think that the one that comes to mind like immediately is I think taking my daughter to her first game. She's actually in the other room. I'm not sure if she's listening, but taking my daughter to her first basketball game was probably the most memorable one that I've been at, and I've been at a few, but that was probably the most memorable because her walking into the garden for the first time, and this wasn't the old garden, this was the one recently that was built. But just going in there and having her look around, going, yeah, it was just an amazing experience. Just going, I'm not even sure. I was teaching her kind of the game a little bit, but we took pictures and we saw the bear that's there. Obviously, the bear's for the Bruins, but we took pictures of that with her, and I got her a little bit of stuff to wear and that kind of thing. So it's probably the most memorable basketball game, at least that I know of. Are we all right?
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, sorry. I thought we were gonna have another technical difficulty.
Okay, no, it's still going. Still
We're
going.
good. I'm still
Still
here.
going.
You froze
Okay.
up there for a minute. I got nervous, but we're good.
Okay. No, I'm still going. So yeah, that was
I'm not
probably
concerned about you. I'm concerned about me.
that was probably exactly. I got you. That was probably the most memorable that I.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, anytime, I'm sure anytime you could take one of your kids to a sport, their first sporting or their first Celtics game or whatever the case may be. I mean, I can see how that would be just incredibly special memory right there. For me, there are a couple that stand out, and they're not. They're actually not NBA games per se. I mean, I've been to a bunch of Celtics games, and they've been great and all. But there are actually two that sort of stand out for me on other levels. One is going back to my high school days, my senior year in high school. Our girls basketball team made it all the way to the state finals and actually won the state championship. And so I was able to go see them not only at TD Garden, but for the state semifinals where they beat Lincoln Sudbury, but also to the DCU Center in Worcester for the state finals. And we won. I will remember it forever. They beat Millbury. It was 65-44. And just like, anytime you can see your hometown win a state title, it's special. But to be a senior and obviously I knew a lot of the players on the team and stuff like that, and to sort of be surrounded, in the stands by, my friends and my classmates and stuff like that, rooting the team on was incredibly special. And it's something that I will look back on forever and be very grateful that I was able to go to that game. And to be able to see them win and be a state champion. Yeah, not quite. The tears aren't quite rolling yet, but give me time. But that was great. And then the other one that really stands out for me was from a couple years back. It was actually a BC basketball game, shockingly, because I remember that many memorable BC basketball games for the past few years.
But, you and I both.
Yeah, this was back maybe 3 seasons ago. BC played #1 Duke at home. I think Duke was undefeated coming into that game, and BC upset them. BC was unranked. Duke #1 team in the nation. Just total mismatch on paper. I think Duke was probably favored in that game, by like 15 points or something like that. And BC knocked them off. And to be able to see the crowd storm the court at the end of the game, and just to be in the building for that, I mean, the biggest upset in basketball and really any sport that I had ever seen, it was incredible. It was, probably one of the, if not the best college basketball game I've been to. And I've actually had the opportunity to go to a couple of NCAA tournament games, both D1 and D3. Back when the Garden hosted the NCAA men's tournament, I was able to go then. At Babson College, again going back to Babson, they hosted a few NCAA D3 tournament games, and those were really exciting as well. Thank you. Here's my right. Here's my left. But again, anytime you can see your favorite team, who again unranked, and not the best at basketball, you beat the number one ranked team in the country like that. It's just it was incredible. And so that was a lot of fun. Like I said, I mean, there are a lot of games I've been to that I mean, like, I feel like I could do 4 separate shows on just each sport and memorable games I've been to, but then we'd be here for hours. Oh yeah, oh boy is right. You're not kidding. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to sort of transition to the sport that we have not talked about, and that is backgammon. No, I'm just kidding. Horse racing. No, it's chess. Yes, checkers, Chinese checkers. No, it is football. I'm not talking about the European kind at this moment. I'm talking about American football. And I think I've been to a few Patriots games over my lifetime, and those have been fun and all. I think I'm trying to think of if there's any Patriots games that stand out, because obviously a Patriots game, it's pretty special. I mean, they've all been really cool. I mean, just you know, being able to go see the Pats is not the easiest ticket in town to get. And
That's
so luckily my dad has been able to get, from through friends, through connections. I know, so fancy again. Been able to get tickets for a couple games over the years. Has been really special. But there are 2 that actually, again, from sort of the lower levels I want to talk about. One is 2014, the fall of 2014. Yes, I'm in the Loge. 2014, BC versus USC in football. BC was unranked. USC was the number 9 ranked team in the country, undefeated. And USC came here and was favored by, I think, like 14 points. And BC knocked them off. And it was a Saturday night game, ABC. Yes, I am so right. Saturday night game, ABC. Again, just to be able to, like, the crowd, kind of like they do in college football sometimes when there's these big upsets, they rush the field. It was just, it was just incredible. It was just incredible. And to be able to see, again, BC had been kind of mediocre in football, recently. To be able to see them pull off that upset was something I'll never forget. And the other one, again, sort of going back to the hometown here for a little bit, Thanksgiving 2015, my high school alma mater, Wellesley High, played our annual Thanksgiving rivalry game against Needham, and we got to play it. Yep, I am a Homer boy, that's for sure. Bleed red and black. And they got to play Needham at Fenway Park. And just, to see a football game at Fenway Park was pretty cool, because I had been to a couple of BC football games at Fenway over the years, but to be able to see, your alma mater at Fenway playing their Thanksgiving rival was just amazing. And unfortunately, we lost that game, which was too bad. But we lost 12-7. But it was just, again, just an experience that you truly a lot of cases only get to live once, and I was so glad I was able to go to that game, and I'm sure I'm sure for the players especially, it is something that they will never forget because again, to be able to play at Fenway, yes, tears again. They're flowing even more now.
Really flowing pretty hard right now,
Yeah,
Bobby.
seriously, apparently. It's like, yeah.
No, that's not social distancing. Wear
But
masks.
yeah, so Doug, let me throw it over to you and sort of take us through some of your most memorable football games, tear jerkers or not, for that matter.
Right. No, I don't
So
really have any tearjerkers that I
no,
know of.
no, but sort of some of your more memorable football games that you've attended in the life of Doug.
Life of Doug, 6 minutes long this
Wow,
time.
1 minute longer. Yeah, 1 minute longer.
Well, I got 1 minute long. I gave myself another minute. So I think it's the first one that comes to mind is actually the first Patriots game that I went to with my dad. I don't remember the year, but it was Schaefer Stadium.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. Schaefer Stadium, and I remember that I remember being real uncomfortable. The seats were not comfortable at all. I do remember that. And I remember like my dad, getting us all kinds of food and all this kind of stuff. And it was toward the end. I think it was maybe the end of the third quarter, beginning of the fourth quarter. And all of a sudden, we see this big, huge cloud overhead. We're like, what is going on here? And it was absolutely freezing. Of course, you got to go to a football game when it's freezing, but it was really, really cold. And I just remember this big cloud coming over it. All of a sudden, it started snowing like crazy, and like blizzard conditions as we're trying to watch this game. I mean, you couldn't see in front of it, like a couple inches in front of you. That's how much it was snowing. And it did this. It was like a squall that came in that lasted probably a good 10 minutes or so, maybe even 15. And it just blanketed the field. And I just remember that snow, and my dad and I look at each other going, why are we here right now when we could be watching it at home or something? But I don't remember having that conversation, but it was probably just a look, but I'm not really sure. But again, it was a long time ago. But that's the first memory I have. The second memory is on a more of a college level. I had a couple friends of mine that went to the University of Florida. So I am secretly, don't tell anybody, secretly a Gator fan.
Nice.
Yes, that's right. You got it. Secretly a Gator fan. I've been watching the Gators for years. Ever since, I don't even know. Probably high school, I think. Right after high school and college. So I started watching. Yes, Chomp, exactly. So I started watching them, and then I had an opportunity to actually go to a game. And coincidentally, it was up at up in Syracuse University. So it was University of Florida versus Syracuse in the Dome.
Oh wow.
Which is really cool because
Dome.
the
Yes.
Carrier Dome was awesome. Now, the quarterback for the University of Florida was a guy named Werfel.
Denny Werfel.
Yeah, Danny Werfel.
Yeah.
So we were sitting there.
Those are Steve Spurrier days.
That's correct, the Steve Spurrier days. So we went up to the game. It was very cool walking in the dome, walking into the Carrier Dome. The Carrier Dome is at 68 degrees all the time. It doesn't change. 68 degrees. So no matter what's going on outside, which by the way was freezing outside, we walked in. We were like, "Oh, I got to take our jackets off because it was warm in there. It was nice." And we started watching this game, and all of a sudden, UF scored a touchdown, and all of a sudden, this lady stood up in front of us, and this guy stood up in front of us, and we noticed on the back of her shirt, it said Werfel's mom. And on the guy, it said Werfel's dad. So we actually asked them, we said, are you Danny Werfel's mom and dad? And they were like, yeah, we are. And I said, well, we're huge fans and we, we love watching him and he's so good. And he's like, yeah, we're really proud of him. We actually got to talk to Danny Werfel's mom and dad.
Wow.
Really cool. It was very, very cool. It was cool being there because UF is such a big school. I went to a small school, Emerson College, so I think we have a chess team and a water polo team, but I'm not sure if we.
No, you have a basketball team.
We do have a basketball team.
Don't sell yourself short. You have baseball too, and soccer, and
we do.
lacrosse and all these other sports.
We do. I never went because I was more studious at that time, but I did not know that we had those sports necessarily. I was studying too much, but that's a really small school. So when you're talking about like going to a BC game, like you and I have been to BC games, football and basketball, you're talking about a bigger stadium, larger audience, larger, kind of situation. Talking about Syracuse University versus UF, the amount of UF people, the amount of Syracuse people, it was just unbelievable being there. I mean, the sound was deafening. It was just really cool, and that's just, certainly another memory on a different level, as opposed to, again, just like you said, hard getting a ticket to go see the Pats. But that was really very, very cool to be able to go up there and see a game, and to root for a team. By the way, UF did win that.
Okay, there you go.
I don't remember the score, but I know they won. But it was great. It was a great game, though. It was really awesome, and it's nice to. And I would tell people out there, I would say, you know what, you have your professional sports, and I know Robbie's Robbie will agree with me on this, that you have to hit up a college game.
Oh yeah.
Have to hit up a college game, whether it's BC, BU, it doesn't matter where it is. Got to go to a college game. It's a totally different atmosphere, especially if you're rooting for the home team. Totally different atmosphere. Even if they're losing, like that game we won't talk about, the BC with the Louisville thing.
Hey, but you know what? We did go. You and I did see BC win a football game, though.
Yes, we did. That was a good game.
Was good.
That was a good game.
Good.
That was a good game. But again,
I think they were playing like Maine or somebody like that. But
Still, it was awesome. But it's a totally different experience. You feel that you're rooting for, even if you didn't go to the school. It's always good. It's always better to go to a Wellesley High School game or something like that. Brookline High typically plays Newton North. Newton North has been our rival for ever, like the 1700s. So they've been rivals for many years. So it's always.
I hate to tell you, but I mean, I guess technically 1776 and beyond, but I really don't think that they had that much football going on during the Revolutionary War.
They did. They actually played football before they were going after each other and shooting each other and stuff like that. The person who won the game was able to fire the first shot. So I think so. What happens is that it's a totally different experience. Yeah. It's awesome. Yeah. It's an experience that you'll come out of the game, no matter who wins. You come out going, oh, wow, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's just cool to be there and to experience that.
And also just like the student, the student section aspect too.
Yes.
I mean, you see all these colleges that are huge. You don't get that at the NFL. I mean,
right? No, you don't.
Sort of, it's an added element that is just very unique to high school but especially the college football.
Oh, it definitely is. Definitely is. And I just think that I would absolutely endorse anybody going to college football, hockey, basketball, whatever you want to go to in that respect. I think that all those are real good places to go because you get that experience, and it's a totally different experience than the professional one.
Yeah, and so as we sort of begin to wind down here, the last question I wanted to ask you is there any non Big Four, we'll call them, sports events or contests that you've been to that sort of that you want to discuss on top of the games and events that we've already discussed?
I don't think so. I think I kind of the only thing I can think of is I mean I haven't been to a soccer game, to a professional soccer game. I never really wanted to necessarily. I know people go, but I don't. I I don't think so, except for the fact that I could reiterate about the alumni games. The alumni games are still going on. The Bruins Alumni Association is huge and it's great and it's awesome, and you get to see some of the older players. Hockey players are really different. We could have a whole thing about this hockey thing. Hockey
Yeah.
players are so different because they don't get the money that baseball players get or basketball players get
Right.
are they don't get that kind of money or basketball anything they don't get that kind of money. What they do is that they're very down to earth guys.
Yeah.
They love hockey. They've been playing hockey since they were probably two, most of them, some of them not even playing here in the United States, but they have the same feeling, and just having them come up to you and talking to them and seeing these guys who played with Bobby Orr and played with Rick Middleton and Terry O'Reilly and all these guys that played in that heyday, so to speak, is just pretty incredible. And
Yeah.
it was a great experience. We went to 12 of them. I'd like to go to more of them, but we went to probably about a dozen of them, and they were just awesome. But other than that, I really can't think of anything else about that.
Yeah, I would say that there are two additional ones that sort of stand out for me. One, it's funny you bring up professional soccer. The one and only professional soccer game that I've ever been to in my life was the one time that Gillette Stadium hosted the MLS finals. The Revolution were playing the LA Galaxy. And so I went with my dad, and it was unfortunately the Revolution lost in like double overtime, but it was still a really cool experience. Again, anytime you can see sort of a championship game of a professional sport, it's definitely worth it. But at the same time,
Okay.
like I said, that's the only MLS soccer game I've ever been to. But it does, it still stands out for me. And the other one is the Harlem Globetrotters.
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
I know, it's kind of we already touched on basketball, but the Harlem Globetrotters, I feel like it's sort of a event within itself. It's sort of like an experience within itself, other than just the regular basketball. It's just sort of the entertainment value and the pageantry and the skill that goes into that team doing what they've done for many years now. It's just incredible to watch. And I was lucky enough to be able to see them once back in, I think I was in like eighth or ninth grade.
1875.
I think I was in like eighth grade, and I went and saw them. It was quite a cool experience because they certainly are legendary in the game of basketball. So those are sort of the two for me, just sort of beyond what we talked about before.
Oh, I did want to. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Robbie. I did
yeah,
want to
yeah. Go
mention
ahead, go ahead.
I've actually been and still have the tickets to. I actually have a full ticket, a ticket that wasn't gone to because they stopped. It wasn't XFL, but I guess it was like that. It was the Boston Breakers.
Oh, okay. The women's soccer league.
No, 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 no,
Right.
no. Football, football, football,
I thought the
football.
Boston Breakers were a WMLS team, or
They were a football team before they were an MLS team.
okay.
Yeah, it was kind of the almost like a minor league, but it was a professional league. But I believe that they were the football players. The NFL, I think, went out on strike for a year or something like that. Um, I think it was. But anyway, I have these Boston Breaker tickets. And actually, the second set of tickets that we got, we weren't able to go to because they stopped because the NFL came back. Again, this was a long time ago. And yeah, this was like I think in the, I want to say the early 80s, mid 80s. Anyway,
wasn't around then, so I wouldn't
yeah,
know.
no, I'm just saying I have the tickets. So if you want to see it, I have the tickets. But it's pretty cool. It was actually it was like the XFL, where it was a professional league, but it was players that were not drafted or players that were picked up from other leagues and stuff like that. But I did go to a few of those games. By the way, they were horrible. But nothing I can do about that. It was football, so it was all good. But other than that, you asked me whether there was anything else, and that just popped in my head as soon as you brought
There
the
you go.
MLS up.
Awesome. So as we start to wrap up, again, this being episode 38 of the Sports Blitz, we now want to go to our final thoughts. And so, Doug, let me start off with you. What are your final thoughts for this evening?
Final thoughts.
Okay, great. Thanks, Doug.
Okay, great. Thanks. Okay, well, I did my 6 minutes, so I can't do any more. So
6 minutes times like 5.
Yeah, exactly. My final thoughts are twofold. Two and two.
That's 4.
The first, 2 and 2 is 4. Thanks, Robbie. Excellent. That's great. Yeah, we'll work on your we'll work on some other math later. Gosh. Okay. So it's getting around the bend right now, Robbie. Okay, 4. Thank you. Yes. I got you on that, Robbie. Excellent. Okay. So it's basically twofold. The first thing is that on a serious note, I certainly want to I have a few things actually. The first note is that obviously what we at the Sports Blitz want to thank all the first responders out there, the people that work in hospitals, all those people that are risking their lives in this crazy pandemic kind of situation. We want to send our very best. Yesterday was the Nurses' Day, which is very appropriate. A little flyover going on, so that was pretty cool.
That was really cool.
And they absolutely deserve more than that. So, if you see somebody that's in a hospital, you see somebody walking down the street and they got scrubs on, or they work in a hospital, please thank them, because I certainly do. Those are really important. The next thing I want to do is, I know, Robbie, this might be yours, and I apologize if it is, but the NFL lost a very important guy a couple days ago, and it was the Dolphins coach, Don Shula.
That was not going to be mine, so you're safe.
Okay, that's fine. Don Shula passed away. No. We obviously at the Sports Blitz wish his family, condolence to him, and his, condolence to his family, we send out that. He was just an amazing coach. Yeah. I wasn't always happy with him because he sometimes beat the Patriots a lot and had our number a lot, but you look at his coaching background, you look at what he's done for the league, you look at what he's done for the people in the league that have moved on, the Dolphin players that have moved on to do great things. And one of the things he did is to help out with the with quadriplegics too, because they have a center down there, which he donated a lot of money to, but he also helped out with that too. So that's just huge. Nick Bonacani's son was paralyzed, and that's the foundation that's down there, so in Miami. But obviously, that's that. The other thing, last thing, sorry to take so long, but the last thing is that first weekend in September, the Bucks versus New Orleans Saints, the Tampa Bay Bucks versus the Saints, first weekend. It's Brady time.
Brady Breeze, yes.
Brady Breeze, baby. First weekend in
Yeah,
September.
yeah. It's
Second weekend, I think. Second week.
it's September 10th.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and so that actually is a perfect segue into my final thought, which is that the NFL officially released the 2020 schedule tonight.
Which is actually going to be the 2025 schedule.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry.
No. You're probably right on the money. And so the Patriots obviously learned their full schedule. I haven't got a chance to completely dissect it yet, but just a couple of notes. The Patriots will open up their season at home against the Miami Dolphins, and Jimmy Garoppolo. Yes, I'm going to dissect that frog and on schedule at the same time. And Jimmy Garoppolo will be paying a visit to Gillette Stadium for his first matchup with the Patriots since being traded from here. Also, the Patriots are going to be playing all 4 NFC West teams and all 4 AFC West teams this season. So, including a visit to, well, actually, they're on the West, but they are the other game that stood out was that they were going to be paying a visit to the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs.
And Seattle's on that schedule too, right? Seattle out west.
Yep, Seattle's in the NFC West.
Yep.
So
yeah, no, I know they are. I just know that they're playing them too.
Yeah,
I didn't see the whole schedule because I was.
They're playing all 4 AFC and NFC West teams. They're playing at Kansas City. They're playing Baltimore. They're playing the Texans. And like I said, they're opening up with Miami at home. So
I'm sure we'll have,
it's
as
going
it
to be
gets closer,
we're definitely going to do a Pat's preview.
It's
going to be very interesting to see, again, just to see what this 2020 season is like with changing of the guard at quarterback for the Patriots, and just some of the other changes around the league, and especially the Miami Dolphins. We're talking about how they ended up drafting Tua Tagovailoa with the 5th overall pick, and the NFL drafted. So his first NFL game will be here and will be at Gillette against the New England Patriots. I know I didn't say his name right, so go sue me. But anyway, on that note, that is going to wrap it up for this week. Wrapping it up, this week's edition of the Sports Blitz, again, episode 38, and episode 39. We will sort of get back to talking about some more the latest going on in the world of sports, and any special stuff that we could think of. Again, sort of just all, it's just kind of all up in the air right now, so it's kind of tough, but we're able to find things to talk about in the world of sports. There's always stuff to talk about, whether it be past, present, or future. So,
hey, listen, I haven't talked to Robbie about this yet, but our next episode, what I'd like to do is, and I think Robbie will agree to this, is that I want to put on, I want to give a review or something. What is your favorite Netflix, Hulu, your favorite, your recommendation to watch on TV? Because we're, kind of stuck in these walls, man. So your favorite show that you wanna send out there, or something that is going to kind of jazz you when it comes to Hulu or Netflix or Disney Plus or anything that's out there that you happen to be watching. Comcast, whatever. Yeah. Something like that. That sounds like a cool segue or side thing that I think we should start putting in there.
Very nice. Yes.
Yeah,
I like that idea. I like that idea a lot. And so definitely something to look forward to for the next episode. So anyway, as we totally go off the rails
episode.
As we totally go off the rails here.
Off the rails.
That's good, dude, for episode 38.
What are you swinging around there, dude?
Of my watch.
Okay, great.
Episode 38. Here's the bottle.
The
Here's
bottle.
my watch.
The watch. Thank you for giving us a small tour of your room, Rob. Oh, my goodness.
So
wow.
That's going to do it for this edition of the Sports Blitz, episode 38. As always, for Doug, I'm Robbie, signing off here, and we'll catch you next time on the Sports Blitz. Bye, everybody.